going to be working on our Mosaic project. There are buckets at each and every table. In those tables we have 2 bottles of glue, we have 1 hammer and a towel. Your towel throughout this project is going to get damaged and ruined, and there's going to be a bunch of holes in it. That's fine. Please feel free to come ask me for an extra towel, and I'll assess it. And if your towel's really that bad, we'll throw it away. Not a huge deal. Beginning stages of the Mosaic project. You are going to complete your packet, and you're going to come up with different designs that you're interested in using for your project. Once a design has been approved, we're going to move forward and draw that design on our wooden blocks. The reason these designs need to truly be approved is because we only have so many colors, and we have like a lot of colors of tile, but some of them we don't have a lot of it. So we really try to focus on creating a balance of color here, and using at least 8, maybe 7, maybe 9 colors of the tile, depending on what we have that batch for that year. So I'll let you know per class. So once your design has been approved, you've received your wooden block and you've drawn it on, it should look something like this. I'm going to take the time now to show you how we're going to break up our tile, how we're going to attach it to our project, and I'll come back and show you guys how we're going to grout it, paint it, and finish it off. I don't want to be doing it on the table, 1, because it's obnoxiously loud, 2, the table has a weird bounce back so the tile doesn't break well, and 3, we don't want to damage the tabletops. So I have my towel. One thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be laying my pieces of tile that I want broken in the center of my towel. So the reason you see me only using half of this is because we want to, can you see it? Yes, you can. Okay, we want to cover up our tile because tile is basically like a powdered porcelain, and then on top is like a layer of a glass or a glaze, and that's what gives tile its color. When you break it without covering it up, those little pieces of glass can fly everywhere, and it can be dangerous. So we want to make sure we're protecting our eyes, our hands, and our fellows around us, our fellow classmates around us. So it's either wear safety goggles or use towels. Towels are cheaper, so we're using towels. So I have my tile in the center of my towel. I'm covering it up. I want to make sure they're not like on top of each other, just a single layer. And with my hammer, I'm going to hit them a couple times, each tile, to kind of break them up. Okay? If you think, you can always pause and check them. So they look great, most of them. I have a couple pieces here that are too big, so I'm going to put them together again. Okay? Cover them up. The reason we're breaking our tile up is because we want to make sure that we get some clean designs, and we can fill in what we've drawn very nicely and neatly. But that being said, if you have a large area on your project of one color, you still want to break it up because we want our project to be uniform. We want it to match. We want it all to be about the same size. We don't want the size of the tile to distract your viewer of what you're trying to communicate with your image. So I have my tile. They're all broken up and awesome. All right. So here's a bunch of pieces. So I'll meet you back up at the table, and we are going to learn how to attach them. So if they don't fit well and you've tried rotating it a couple times, don't use it. Someone else can. We want your project to look bomb. Ooh. Oh yeah. I like that. Okay. So every class I've been doing a little bit of the sun and a little bit of the sun, and now in this video tutorial I am finally done with it. So I finished up my sun, right? You're gonna continue this process. So now that I finished my sun and I don't need yellow anymore, I'm going to put all this tile back into the yellow bucket where I got it initially. So I will go pour that back in. Then you move on to your next color. So my next color is white. I'm gonna do white. Personally, I like to break a color and then glue the color, and then I go put it back. Break a color, glue a color. Some students like to break all their tile up and glue all at once. Whatever floats your boat really works for you. There's no right or wrong process in this. Just make sure that you're really closing those gaps and eliminating the spaces in between each tile. When you're done with your project, for the day, for the period, for, you know, whichever, I'm gonna ask that when you store this in the classroom, that you store it flat. We don't accidentally like tuck it up on someone else's project. We are using liquid glue, so if you store it at an angle and not flat, your project can slide a bit before it dries, and that's gonna ruin your design. So make sure it is laying flat. And then I'm gonna finish this guy up, and when we're ready to grout, I will come back and film a grout tutorial for you. Enjoy. All right, good morning. Welcome back to the Mosaic tutorial. I'm gonna take an opportunity to show you, I have a finished mosaic here. You can't really see it because it's taped up right now, but it's a little flower. I'm going to be showing you how we're gonna grout this, as well as how we're gonna paint the back. So aesthetically, this is a finished project and it looks good. We have paint that matches the grout. The grout that we have available is a natural gray. It's the class grout, so everyone's gonna have the same color for their project. I would like to address, before you're ready to grout, you need to leave at least like one night to let all your glue and everything dry. The reason is we don't want to leave moisture in our mosaic and then grout it and trap it in there. Also, another like 24 hours and our grout will be dry as well, and then you could paint it. So once you finish mosaic, let it dry. Finish grouting, let it dry, and then we're gonna finish with painting. So as you can see, I'm only gonna be working in a small section because I'd like to use this sample for most of my classes. Plus, you don't really need to see all of it to understand how to do it. So handy, I have the grout available to me. I made a little placemat just so I can minimize how much I have to clean up, and I also have a damp sponge, which I'll probably be getting more water later. So I'm going to be reaching in and grabbing this grout. Okay. And it's gonna feel like sandy and gritty, kind of like a face mask or something. Don't put it on your face. So what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be compressing this into my mosaic. And as you can see, I'm kind of rubbing it. I'm hoping you could see it. I'm rubbing it along my tile to kind of fill in each and every groove. I'm also gonna be rubbing my edges. Ooh, nice, you can see that. Okay. I'm gonna be rubbing my edges. I wanna fill in every single gap here. All the way around the sides, everywhere. Okay, so obviously I have way too much grout for this small section. I could easily put that back in the bucket. I am gonna ask, if you're not currently grabbing grout, to just put the lid back on it so it doesn't dry out for anyone else. And then before I like wipe off the excess and put it back in the bucket, I like to compress, because sometimes it doesn't quite find its way into every single crevice. So by compressing, we're like forcing it down in each and every crack. All right. And again, any excess grout, please, please, please put back. Okay, so I'm good, making sure, doing some finishing touches. All right. This is why it's also crucial that we lay our mosaic and our tile down flat, because I'm kind of rubbing around to make sure that it's in every single edge. I get enough in there. And obviously, like with the tile, there's little pieces of glass, and you don't want to like slice your hand open or like hurt yourself. So that's why we really want to make sure that we're, when mosaicing, laying down full pieces of tile. Okay. So also I use my palm, right? And I'm going to be compressing grout into the edges of that as well to hopefully level it off and make it somewhat flat, because I want this to look like a nice finished project when I'm done with it. Okay, so I've compressed it. I'm happy with my results. I'm getting my extra grout, putting it back in the bucket. All right, so now's the time where if you feel like you need to wash your hands, please feel free to wash your hands. I'm a messy person, so I'm gonna keep going. So I have water accessible, and what I'm gonna do is get the soft part of my sponge wet. I'm not working on the scrubby part because that's gonna remove the grout I just put in, and I put it there for a reason. I'm gonna be working with the soft part of my sponge. So I'm gonna work in small circles, kind of back and forth, and make sure I wanna get my sponge wet. I wanna wring it out because I don't want it sopping wet, I just want it a little damp. and I want to just wipe off any excess grout, exposing my tile. That's the objective. Now I have my grout in there. I'm just kind of cleaning it up so I can see each tile. So as you can see, I keep rotating my sponge to find a new side, a clean side, and it's starting to like clean up my mosaic a bit. Some pieces are still covered, so I do want to expose those. So what I like to do is I like to get my nail in there, my finger in there, and find out like where a tile is, and then make sure that it's exposed so my design is visible. So I'm coming through and I'm just kind of cleaning up where the grout is covering too much. Okay. Rinsing my sponge and wringing it out. Okay. And I'm just polishing now. Okay. Also, as a last step, what I'd personally recommend is like get your damp sponge and you want to kind of compress the edges. This just helps make it look nice and clean and no rough spots. Okay. I like to wipe the extra grout off my edges if needed. This one looks pretty good. So here we have it after the sponge step. You can kind of see there's little like rocks on it. Okay. So it's in every single side as well. Not much of the white tile is showing. So I'm gonna be back for some finishing touches. All right, so I cleaned my hands and I left you off where there were little rocks on my tile. So it's gonna be kind of hard to see through a camera, but there are gonna be little stones of this grout left on top of your tile. So what you wanna do before it dries, because it gets difficult cleaning that up after it dries, is you get just a classroom paper towel. And then all we do with one finger, right, there's only one finger trapped in there. I'm just gonna kind of knock those rocks off the top of my tile, leaving them smooth and leaving the color part of the tile exposed. So I'm just cleaning them up. I'm gonna try to get closer to see if you can see this. Hopefully you can. So like this corner piece has a bunch of rocks and grit on it. So I'm just gonna use my paper towel and kind of clean up those edges. I have a tile here that's not showing. Could be sideways or a small one. So I'm gonna clean it up. I have grout that's covering this piece. I want to make sure I could see it. So I'm cleaning it up. Okay. I'm gonna move it around. Make sure it's not on the yellow part. Okay, so there it is. I have no more rocks. I kind of like to use my fingers, the soft finger part of like the finger bed, to kind of just wipe it off and make sure it is smooth after the paper towel. And now I'm ready to go let this thing sit and dry, and it's all grouted up. Obviously this side, not the other sides. All right, so my mosaic is, or my grouting is dry. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to paint the back of it. I mosaic the wrong section. That's okay. So I'm gonna paint the back of it just so you guys can get an idea on how we do that. It's literally as simple as it sounds. So I have some color here that's already pre-mixed.
Good morning, the internet.
Sorry for that interruption. So I have some color here that's already pre-mixed. And what I'm going to do is just apply a little bit down. And using my paintbrush, I wanna cover the back of my wooden block. I'm using a recycled piece. Your guys' pieces are actually new, so it's not going to be as grindy and gross to cover. Okay. And as you can see, I'm painting it gray all the way straight up to the grout. I'm not painting the grout itself though. I do want the grout's natural color, and also I don't want to accidentally paint any of my tiles or anything, so I'm just not even going to get close to it. Sorry, I realize I'm facing me, not you. All right. You will have a better result and a better coverage on painting your wood. My wood is a different wood, so it's actually not doing a great job. but your wood is like a standard plywood, so it really like soaks up the moisture that's in the paint and the color's left, and it's just kind of gorgeous, to be honest. All right. So there we go. All right, so I have no more wood exposed in that small section that I decided to demo for you. And so I'm gonna let this up to dry, and once your whole project is grouted and your whole project is painted, you're done. Enjoy.